Hi, I'm your host, Eric Borno.
Hi, Eric Borno. I'm your host, Nisk.
And you're listening to the God's Plan Podcast. Hi, so I'm here in the God's Plan Podcast. I guess we don't have to do an intro officially.
I was going to go with the Joe Rogan intro and just be like, Jamie, are we live?
We are absolutely live.
Borno, are we live?
We are absolutely live. And for the record, I am wearing a full-on astronaut suit.
Okay.
And sunglasses.
I mean, I'm swagged out, but not an astronaut suit by any means.
So tell the folks who you are.
So I'm but a man. My name is Mataush. Mataush.
Oh, you were made for this podcast.
And I'm just a man, but a mere mortal. Yeah.
Right.
A mere incarnate.
Right. Okay, you did a great job of explaining to everyone who you are. So I'm actually Eric. I'm the host. My name is Eric. I'm the host of the God's Plan Podcast, and I'm joined here with Matt. If you got that from his own introduction. He is a self-proclaimed man.
Self-proclaimed? No,
I understand.
It's not self-proclaimed.
That can
I guess everything is self-proclaimed to an extent.
Well, you just proclaimed it yourself, so.
I did. That's true.
Well,
and I think an excellent aspect here is that technically everything's self-proclaimed when you get really down to the nitty-gritty.
Well, I understand today things can get pretty confusing with the whole coming up with an identity for yourself and all that. Okay, but that's not the reason why. That's not the reason why I had you on here today. And the reason I had you on.
So why am I on here today?
Why are you? Yeah, we're gonna figure that out as we go. Actually, let's get into it.
I have a feeling I already know why, but we'll figure it out.
If we want to talk about the real reason, let's be honest. We're in the middle of a quarantine lockdown because of a national pandemic or epidemic or whatever you call it, and every fucking 30-year-old white guy is stuck in their living room. They have the idea, hey, I'm going to make a podcast right now. It's going to be a great idea.
Straight up. Where's Dylan at? Is he with you? I thought he was doing this podcast with you.
Great question, Matt. So Dylan actually went off to celebrate, at a time like this, celebrate Easter with his folks back at home. He invited me to go with him, and let me get your opinion on this. He seemed a little annoyed when I declined the invite, and I said I didn't want to expose any more people than I need to. I want to minimize my interactions. I'm just following the guidelines of the CDC. I'm just doing my part, flattening the curve, right?
You're asking my opinion on it?
Yeah, no. I was thinking I would ask a random guest on a totally different podcast. My point is that it seems like you haven't fully justified everything you just told me. It's like a well encapsulated thing that there's not really room to form an opinion on, you know? It's irrelevant
because it's
it's
more of a fact, you know. It's not really.
I just don't want him to think he's not going because he doesn't want to go. I mean, I wouldn't. It's not like I wouldn't even go to see my own parents right now or my own mom if she invited me over for dinner. I'd be like, no.
Yeah, no, I was a little bit reluctant to go to Colchester myself today, but mostly because I like chilling at home. It didn't really. I mean, the quarantine was part of it, but you know.
Oh, so you violated protocol?
Not on live podcast. No, I definitely didn't do that.
Oh my God, Jimmy, don't spit into your mic. I don't want any of this to infect any more people.
Yeah, a computer virus.
Anyways, that's where Dylan is. He's being a little naughty boy. What's the opposite of flattening? He's protruding the curve.
Yeah, I guess it would be steepening.
He's boostening it. So tell me a little bit about this little symbol thingy that you posted. I'll put a link in the description. It looks like some kind of Native American spiritual. Does it relate to Alan Watts in some way?
Not directly. It's like Vegvisir. I don't really know exactly how to pronounce it, but it's a Norse symbol. It's a Viking symbol. Not the gear around it. I added the gear, but the base symbol, like the thing in the middle and all the things coming off. And I believe the meaning is it's like a compass with the idea that anyone who bears it'll help them find their way even if they don't know their destination. I'm thinking about getting that as a tattoo or printing it on a shirt or both.
Well, shit. I mean, if it actually does what it says, I would get that painted on the wall in my living room. I would get that as decals on my car, man. I would want that everywhere in my life because who the hell knows what they want to do? That's why I make a podcast.
I think one is enough, but I the rule for paint it on someone's forehead, honestly, but
seems pretty intricate. And I mean, okay, just to describe this thing, there are lines everywhere on it. It's kind of like a circle, like a cog-like circle with a bunch of crosses in it. Almost trident. It almost looks like a bunch of tridents in the form of a clock. I don't know.
It does look like a lot of tridents, yeah.
It's pretty cool though. It is very cool looking. I like the meaning behind it, especially. So, is this is what you were up to? You want to tell us a little bit about what you were up to before I called you out of the blue?
No, I was actually...
This is a completely impromptu episode, by the way.
I know, dude. You would be shocked if you knew what I was up to.
Oh, I don't think I would be that surprised when you put it that way. I mean, I understand you're working on, you're making like Photoshop with art with like all different types of artists.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, no, I was just jamming to some Alan Watts chill stuff. I was about to make a bandana. I was planning on making a bandana. I wanted to replace the one I lost at Firefly 2014.
Who is that? Like Alan Watts.
What?
Who is that? Just for
he's a philosopher said to have brought Eastern philosophy to the West in the 70s. Yeah. Very woke spiritual man. I am a fan personally. I know you and me have talked about this before, and I know you were having some trouble kind of following his points as he goes along.
I don't know if it's as much of just like a trouble, but more just bringing up different points of contention, perhaps. See, trouble implies that I wasn't understanding what he was saying, but obviously that's not true. Like, I'm such a brilliant philosopher and academic that I can, like, thoroughly comprehend whatever anybody, like, even Alan Watts. Come on. I mean, I have Sam Harris on my coaster.
I'm not a big fan of Sam Harris personally. I haven't really looked into all of his stuff that much, to be honest. But he comes across as dry and I've never heard him really say anything original. Like, I feel like everything he says is stuff that's been said before.
See, could you talk a little more about that? Because Dylan also is not that big of a Sam Harris fan, and this is bewildering.
I mean, what's so revolutionary of it that he's made that makes sense,
dude?
Or even doesn't have to make sense. Like, what's like? Tell me something original by Sam Harris.
I mean, he's self-aware of how much he resembles Ben Stiller, and he makes jokes about it all the time. Like, how serious are we want to get here? Do you want to?
I'm trying to be legit, dude. I mean, if this is a podcast, let's dive into it. Like, how is Sam Harris so? Like, what's his philosophy that's any different than just the standard? What's the best way to word this? Like, the basic. I feel like he's just kind of.
Matt,
he's just restating basic scientific, like the basic scientific widespread beliefs. Like, I don't think he's coming up with anything new personally that I've noticed. Anyway, I haven't dove into his stuff.
See, I was trying to put this in a comedy category for a podcast, and you're trying to make it all serious right now.
I'm just going with the conversation. I'm just expressing what I'm thinking, man.
No, it's good. The folks want meat and potatoes. They don't want a bunch of fluff. I don't know what they want. We don't have an audience yet. Duncan is going to be our audience.
I mean, we'll figure out what they want. So that's not important right now. We don't have to.
No, you're right.
It doesn't. We don't have to push anything in.
Absolutely.
Bottom line is a podcast is a conversation. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's almost lazy.
It's a conversation that gets shared with a lot of people, ultimately.
Yeah, that means you gotta be good at conversation, good enough to make it interesting for people to actually want to listen to your conversations rather than having their own conversations. And we know how much people love to hear themselves talk.
I mean, it's not even about being more interesting than the viewers, because then it's just like a competitive thing where it's like you're like it's unsustainable. It becomes like you have to put your viewers down to get a leg up on them to like. It's like they actually are the ones supporting you in a podcast. But yeah, it has to be interesting and just kind of contribute thought. I guess it's just a contribution. Like it's thought ultimately the conversation.
Yeah, that's a much nicer way of putting it. I wasn't saying. I
know you weren't. I just kind of.
Yeah, they have to like. No, they don't have to.
Yeah.
Has to be
I just like fucking linguistics. Sometimes I fucking just dive into certain aspects of it without really considering that's not like I know that's not what you meant, but then I got carried away thinking about that.
For sure. Okay, so for the record, you were jacking off before I called you.
No, I wasn't.
All right, so what do you do, man? How do you identify?
I mean,
tough question.
I sell houses, flip houses.
Oh my goodness, my Wi-Fi cut out.
Do some trading stuff.
Sorry, we got.
Oh, what happened?
No. I think it cut in. I think halfway through what you were saying. I'm sorry. That was
I mean, I wasn't really saying much. It wasn't anything of substance. I guess I don't know who I am. Ultimately, I don't know what I do.
That's fine. All right, now
I know. Figure that out.
I know one thing.
Or do I?
I know one thing that you did that was pretty incredible. There was a legendary story of your wrestling career that I want to get into a little bit. So I understand you vanquished the number 1 seed at a large ECC tournament. Is this correct?
I mean,
let's hear it in your words.
So to be honest, the whole story, it has been, it's something of a legend. It's great to be part of that. I appreciate that, and
just
it does. It's cool. It's cool. It's definitely cool.
Just relive that.
I think the whole thing got blown out of proportion.
Don't say that.
I think what really happened.
No.
I think what really happened was. Because I was wrestling my whole life, right? Like I wrestled since 3rd grade, on and off, and I knew how to wrestle. I was pretty good at it, and our team was just stacked. We had our lineups. Our head coach, as much as I love him, he did tend to pick favorites, and I mean they would kind of stay in the lineup unless they had to be moved. I think once Duncan, who was the 171 at the time, once he got injured, that he was I would say Voiland's favorite in the weight class, because we had Jordan, we had Dufour, we had myself, and once Duncan got injured, then it kind of cleared up space.
So you and Duncan were both 171s.
We were both 71s, yeah.
And Duncan was the golden child.
We wrestled together back in 4th grade. Actually, like we were both on it since like the OG days, like since youth started in the town. So Duncan got injured, and then that gave me a shot at it. I think really what I was getting at before is that I never cared that much for high school sports. Like they were fun. I did them to socialize. I did a lot of, I met a lot of friends there, a lot of really good friends. Who I'm still friends with to this day. Obviously, you know that.
I myself might be one of those folks.
And so I never really applied myself to strive for being the best wrestler. That wasn't really my end goal. But when it came time to step up, I was ready. I was ready. I had what it took, and I didn't doubt that. I think that's what it comes down to, and I think that's what people tend to miss. Like, because the way the story goes, it sounds like I was the sleeper. I mean, I guess that is the story. Is just kind of being ready until your opportunity is there, and then once it's there, you strike.
What are you getting at? Are you saying Are you saying that you were the number 1 seed all along?
Not really.
Like a don't
no,
call it
but,
a comeback scenario?
No. Because here's the thing. I think, maybe I had the potential to be the 1 seed, right? But I didn't put that work to earning that spot. I'm not going to sit here and say that I should have been the 1 seed when I simply wasn't. I simply wasn't. So I came in and I was the 12th seed. I was. The thing that kind of trips up is that skill isn't like rank, I guess, isn't indicative of skill. So I wasn't, I was good. I didn't have a lot of stats because I didn't care enough about sports to really, drive and drive for that position, so I wasn't, from everybody else's perspective, it seemed like I was no one. For me personally, I was like, I'm just me, like I was decent. I was a good wrestler.
Sure.
And I think the ultimate point here is capitalizing on opportunities, because Stephon Davis. So we were in, it was Class M's. Someone had shit in a trash can. Someone had.
Well,
mayonnaise.
we're talking about the story, the legendary story of how you defeated the number 1 seed. We're not talking about any, we're going to try to just keep it at that. We're going to try to keep it at that.
So I came in a 12 seed. So I came in a 12 seed. Our team was getting wrecked. There wasn't really any pressure on my shoulders whatsoever. I was expected to fail. Essentially, where it was like the plan was set out as if I would fail. So everything that I did there was a bonus to the team.
So the stage is set.
So the stage is set, and I go up against this one kid, Stephon Davis. He was a monster, and I mean the dude. I guess he was like a sleeper or something. That I don't know. But he came in. He was strong as fuck, and when I went out there, I was getting worked, like I'm not gonna sit here and say I was better than him necessarily.
He was the type of kid to like have tattoos in high school.
Yeah, I mean he was jacked. He was like a built black dude,
Probably yeah.
Like I had gone up against that a few times, but like not that frequently. So anyways, the dude was like way stronger than me, and he was pushing me like once we were on the mat, like pushing me like a bull, like he was charging like a bull, and I could tell he was just kind of, he was aggressive, and that was like his approach. That was his whole strategy, was to out muscle me, right?
Sure, yeah.
And I knew, I knew even back then, I knew it was, there's more to it than just sheer force, sheer power. And so what happened was
there's some finesse in the mix.
There is some finesse, yeah.
Technique.
So what happened was he was kicking my ass for like a round and a half or something. I had to, I was in the down position, so I had to escape. I had to get up. This is folk style wrestling. I had to get up. I was, as I got up, he was not having it. Like he was trying to keep me down, obviously, as he's supposed to, but like this dude is huge and he's fucking pushing me, and like I'm not like strong enough at that point to push back like physically. But I could tell he was gonna keep pushing. And so what I did was turn that and counter him, and literally as he pushed, I just threw his weight to the mat. He landed on his back, and I'm tired as fuck at this point, and I'm fucking I put out like every last bit of energy that I had to make sure that he gets pinned, to make sure that he stays pinned, because I saw his back on the ground. I knew that was the opportunity to take it or leave it, and I left it all on the mat.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, that's it. I took it. I took the window and
seized the opportunity.
Fucking put it all out there. Yeah, and then the dude got pinned.
And the crowd went wild, man.
The crowd went wild, dude. The crowd went wild. That shit, like
thunder.
Like one of the best feelings of my life. That shit was insane, dude. Like everyone was going wild, like absolutely wild. And then like that wasn't even my last fight that day. That wasn't even my last match that day. But like every So every win I lost one in that tournament, one out of 6 matches, and every win I got was a pin. So like every subsequent win as a pin, people were going wild, dude. And it was honestly amazing. And actually the one that I lost, I ended up pinning that kid as well for the 3rd place. So that was cool too.
Oh, so you lost a match and then went back and beat that kid?
Yeah, so Stephon Davis, he was the 1 seed. When I took him out, it was like a big up for like.
It just sounds like a name of a 1 seed. Stephon.
Yeah, so it was, but by beating him, it really put us like, it was still neck and neck. And then when I secured the 3rd place, like every win that really counted for the team.
Yeah.
And yeah, that the last one, that kid was a bull too, dude. Tolba, he was a pretty good wrestler. Like he beat me first, he beat me that, I think it was that day or the day before, either one, or possibly the weekend before. I think that was the 3rd time I wrestled him actually. He beat me twice, and then I ended up coming back and beating him like when it mattered.
Matt, I gotta say, Matt, I wish we could have gotten a little bit of liquor in you before telling. I mean, it is an incredible story. I've heard you tell it before with a little less humility than right now. Then I saw many a drunken.
What if I told you I got something else in me right now?
Well, we have to leave it out of the podcast because we don't condone.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about hubris.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
That's a great thing to have, for sure, for the kids. But we don't condone drugs. No.
Oh, well, you were just telling me to drink.
Not even coffee. Tea. Yeah, I was talking about tea.
I would drink some tea right now. Actually,
it's a tea.
But yeah, I mean, that's the stuff on Davis, right? That's really it.
Yeah. No, Stephon Davis, dude, that's a name of a champion. Like, when the parents are thinking of naming their kid, they're like, maybe I want to name him Steven. And then, like, the mom's like, no, I want my son to be a winner, not 2nd place. And they're like, okay, let's change it to Stephon. And then all of a sudden, boom, you got a champion right there.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't.
Turns out he was not. Turns out.
Guess how that
was. Boom. Take that, all you fuckers. Nope, sorry, we don't swear. Anyways. So, no, that is an excellent story. The legend should live on. We can have Dylan, now that he's coaching the new generations of the wrestling team, we can pass on the legend, and other legends can fall off, like other legends involving trash cans can just fall by the wayside and never get brought up ever again. We don't ever have to talk about drinking Dubra out of a water bottle. Yeah, that is weird. Are you with us? It sounds like you're rummaging around in the kitchen.
I am actually both. I'm wearing headphones.
Are you? I don't know if I'm not so sure if my mic is picking you up too well, but if you're sneaking treats, you better have enough to share.
I got enough to share.
What are we munching on there?
Relaxer, Tiesta tea, lavender chamomile. Short answer. There you go.
Sounds like a very, very soothing, relaxing nightcap.
Yeah. I have a feeling that that's far from over, but it is.
It's better than Dubra out of a water bottle.
That's a lot better than that.
But that never happened at a wrestling tournament. Okay.
Nah,
do we want to get into Firefly at all?
We could. I gotta take a leak though. If you want to just give me like 2 minutes.
Yeah, let's take a short break. I'll put on the intermission music and then we can come back.
Word, I like that.
Awesome. All right, see you in a few. Oh man, I love that song. Toose, are you back with us?
I'm back with you.
Awesome, cool. So, yeah, it's such a great song though. Like, it's just very underappreciated.
It is a good song.
Yeah, underrated for sure.
You
So,
think so?
we just finished. For those of you just tuning in, I'm here with Mati. He is but a man, and I'm your host of the God's Plan podcast, Borno. That's BORNAEUX. And my name is Stefan Davis. Okay, just kidding. If you're just joining us, let me do the comeback thing.
Yeah, do it.
All right. Fuck, I forgot to plug our sponsor, Dollar Shave Club. No, so if you're just joining us, Mati described a story of how he crushed the number 1 seed in an enormous high school wrestling tournament, and the crowd was going insane. It was a huge deal, and the legend lives on this day. So we were hoping to get into a little bit of Firefly, but Matt, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I don't recall what I was going to say, but it's
Sorry.
Let's go wherever we were going. Just
Do you want to get into that at all? What's the first thing you think of? What's the first thing you think of when you hear Firefly?
It opened my mind. Right. That's what.
Right. So
we're not even in the same room.
That's true. If we were in the same room, though, we would be able to convey a lot more information. I would be able to use small facial expressions to let you know, like, if I'm joking about something, and I use my hands a lot when I talk now because it conveys.
Yes, non-verbals.
Right.
I know what you're saying.
So for those of you listening at home, just imagine me waving my hands a lot while I'm talking, but in meaningful ways, in ways.
Just waving your hands.
No, I'm not doing jazz hands. I'm not just willy-nilly flopping them around. They're actually relevant to the thing. Like, they're making sense with regard to what I'm saying. I'm moving them in very precise ways.
Yeah, about that.
Jesus.
You have no idea how much of a hippie I'm being right now, bro.
Yeah, well, hopefully everybody's being a little bit of a hippie. People need to be a little more hippie, with all the crazy shit going on in the world right now.
I think they do, yeah. Everything's so fucking tight right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's
bedlam.
Yeah, like, when's the last time anyone really got a chance to loosen up and unwind, Like, everything's been so fucking high-strung the last few months.
Yeah, I guess
last few
so.
years even, yeah.
I mean, I know some people might be at home, relaxing a lot. Not me, though. No, I don't relax. I don't sleep either. I just work on the podcast all day, every day, to bring you the quality content.
Why don't you sleep? Are you good?
No, I'm just studying the stock market.
A lot of volatility right now.
Yeah, nobody fucking knows where it's gonna go, but some people do for sure. But they're definitely not sharing that knowledge with anybody anytime soon. Wait. We're not talking about the stock market. We're talking about the music festival, Firefly. Firefly is a music festival.
We can talk about whatever, dude. Stock market's a pretty good time.
The stonk market.
I've gotten some good hits on the stock market, dude.
Well,
that shit is a gold
the thing
mine.
is, it's really weird because.
But it's also gambling. It's a little bit gambly.
Well,
it's kind of a gamble.
The stock market has actually rebounded quite a bit, or rebounded, I don't know, in the past 2 weeks alone, despite all the crazy hectic turmoil shit going on, and people are speculating that it could be a dead cat balance, but then I've heard other people say no, it can't be that because of X, Y, and Z, and then they point to a couple things that
that's always with the stock market. That is always the case every time. That's the whole conversation around it. Is some people saying it's going one way, others going the other way.
Sure, but certain people win
really
long term, right? We were talking about gambling, how it's gambling, but there are certain people in certain portfolios that do perform better consistently and reliably over an extended period of time. So people win,
interesting.
People lose. So
how do you see?
In conclusion,
hold on. I want to actually hear your take on this. How do you see, kind of the maybe correlations or similarities between poker and the stock market?
Well, as someone who
Coincidences, if you will.
as someone who gambles for a living, I know that there are a lot of comparisons that get made all the time between poker and trading stocks. The outcomes, there's a lot of uncertainty. You know, they're both games of imperfect information. There are a lot of unknown variables. People can make a bet in poker where they're sure they're going to win only to find out that they lose everything. And I'm sure, same with the stock market, you know, plenty of people lose, and that's why, like, there is supposed to be an element of uncertainty. And when people start taking away that element of uncertainty, where we're getting into things like insider trading, then yeah, there need to be rules in place to prevent that sort of thing. I don't know if it's ever possible to fully prevent that, but basically just mitigate it as best as possible. And it's different in the stock market. Yes, people can study, you know, you can take a lot of time. Like earlier today, I was just trying to read some article on, I forget what the article started out with, but it was just something like learning how to trade on options or something, or like futures or something like that. And then it ended up using like some verbiage that I was unfamiliar with, and then I like looked up the definition of that. And then that article had a term that I was unfamiliar with, and I couldn't understand that term until I understood the term before it. And then I just went down an entire rabbit hole until I was reading like a fucking philosophical paper on like the core fundamental values. What is the basic?
That's like kind of breaking into the.
Well, I do have a lot of skin in the game as of recently, but I mean, probably a little more than I should, honestly, but I just naturally want to gamble more than most people. And, yeah, like poker, stocks are a lot like poker in the sense that a person can take the time to study and become more knowledgeable. They can educate themselves. A poker player can hire a coach. An investor can hire a financial, maybe, I don't know if a financial advisor, but I've heard that there are shady things about them, but there are also shady things about poker coaches. But sorry not to get on too many tangents. Basically, one of the biggest similarities that jumps out at me is the element of skill involved, and how a person who works harder, spending more time to learn the ins and outs of the market can perform better in the long run. They're going to have more gains. They're going to yield a higher return on their investments.
That's
just like a poker player can read and study a lot about different odds and equities and stuff like that, and they're going to perform much better. I think the skill gap is way, way bigger in poker, for sure.
That's interesting. But I was just thinking, because I kind of drew this parallel that you can. So you're saying there's like a correlation between kind of investing mind in the skill, you know, or the practice.
Yeah, just educating yourself.
Trading or educating yourself. Right. And their profits, right?
Yeah.
But both of them,
and that doesn't stop. That doesn't
really
stop a inexperienced person from just hopping in, buying some random stock of some random shit.
Bank.
Yeah,
and making bank. Yeah.
So what you got to look at then, in order to get around that, time is the key here. An inexperienced investor is just simply not going to be able to yield like a high return over an extended period of time. They're just not going to be able to. Just like a novice poker player, they can win 2, 3, 4 sessions in a row. Sure, they can have streaks of short success, but they're never going to be able to maintain that kind of a win rate over, say, months of playing, years of playing. So time is really the key variable.
Interesting.
And what is the saying?
On paper,
the saying, time in the market beats timing the market. I know that's a saying that gets thrown.
Time in the market beats timing the market.
Like time in, like the amount of time a person spends in the market is always going to be better than trying to sell and buy at the right time.
And there's kind of multiple ways you can look at that take, because you can talk about like investing young, you know, taking positions young versus, you know, actively trading.
You mean young in the business, or young in as the person who's
young in your life? Like you can invest when you're really young, and then You know, and then that's time in the market. You know, that's as long as your money's in there, it's in the technical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then there's also, you know, time spent researching it, which is I think what you were more getting at.
Yeah.
Or actively, you know, participating in it, maybe trading or whatever, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think your idea was just the experience factor, right? Like, kind of, you're saying that experience is going to be out.
Maybe not as much experience, but just if you have your money in there for a long time, you know, with all the ups and downs and crashes and recessions and whatever's, that's going to make more money. It's just a better strategy overall. Just keep it in
like a long-term investment than
maybe
rather than like a swing trade.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, you know, because like I haven't been in the game that long, but
but we're speaking as parallels.
But over 2 weeks.
we're speaking strictly as parallels to poker. That's the thing, which does kind of qualify you to say these things. So yeah, no, that's exactly what I was asking. You know, and that makes sense. That definitely makes sense because, you know, they always say that, you know, the long term will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah.
Stonks, man, stonks.
Yeah.
So
that was just load up on some long term positions.
And yeah, that's another thing I read recently was that a lot of the experts, I don't know who the hell said this, but a lot of the experts said,
fuck these experts.
So,
that's a schism reference.
I know. Are you trying to get me copyright sued here or some shit?
Sorry. No,
as I play God's Plan for the break. So,
all right.
The experts. Oh yeah, a lot of the getting into the market, or so like an initial price offering, like when a company first decides to make the switch from private to public, where like they themselves own 100% of themselves, but then they want to either scale or whatever, or make more money, so then they decide to go public, let shares of their company be traded publicly. That a lot of the experts will say get in on watch companies
on the IPOs.
Yeah, watch for companies for when they're going to announce their initial.
So
when they initially go public.
Yeah, that makes sense. So kind of keep an eye on private companies for when they're going public. Uber did that last year, I think. Or
Uber,
possibly 2018.
You're right. Yeah, Uber and Lyft were two huge ones, and now for the ones in 2020, well, before the COVID, the big watch ones were ones like DoorDash, Airbnb, something like Instashop or something, Instacart. I guess it lets you like grocery shop and just like scan the items as you put them in your cart, and then you don't even have to check out, which I think is great for social distancing. Also, it's right on your phone. It's like an app.
Yeah, I think anything that promotes social distancing or allows it or enables it or whatever is going to be probably a big move in the next few years. You know,
revolutionary, dude. And they're talking about a lot of companies don't want to go public this year just because of the whole fucking major collapse that just happened.
Can't blame them, yeah.
But Airbnb still might be able to. Like, it's that strong where they can still go public, and like a lot of people will have faith in them and confidence in them. I understand they're housing a lot of people too. Like, Airbnbs are loaning out their houses to certain like nurses and other healthcare workers, which is cool.
Word. That
could just be like more of a charity thing amongst themselves, but I'm sure. Still though, it's definitely one to keep your eye on.
So any other topics we need to cover? Oh, shit.
Well, I mean, we could talk about branding and some of the things you've done to get your name out there as a designer.
So that's the thing. I haven't done that yet.
But you need to.
I haven't done that yet, but I need to. I need to.
Come on.
I want to. Yeah, that's like. I'm in the process of doing that. I got fucking. Yeah, I gotta focus on that. Fuck. What am I doing?
Oh, you didn't know that this.
What am I doing?
You didn't know that this episode was just going to be an intervention for you to light a fire under your ass. That's okay, dude. The last episode I recorded, it turned into an intervention for myself to file my taxes. Charlie, NSA Charlie.
There's an extension on those, bro. There's an extension on those, I think, for everyone.
So until July 30th, which I learned a few hours ago. But cool, yeah, no, I've just been living under a rock. Turns out poker players are notorious for just not keeping up with current events and the news and shit. Well,
Bro, I gotta
Under a
tell you
rock.
something that's gonna blow your mind, but it's gotta be.
wait, it can't be on the air?
It can't be on the air.
Yo, what if we set up like a paywall where people can pay for that exclusive content?
Couldn't do it in this case.
Like what about what are those accounts called? Like fans only?
I wouldn't do that.
Only fans? Do you want to comment on that? You have an Instagram. I don't have an Instagram.
Yeah, I mean it's
Are girls exploiting simps by having
they
those sort of accounts?
I mean, I don't blame them, but yeah, they're definitely exploiting kind of men's drives, sexual drives. You know, that's really what it is. It's a trap for men.
Sure.
I don't necessarily blame the women. I don't think they're even really not all coming at it with that intention at all. But like that's kind of what it is ultimately. You know,
It's hard to say, right?
some of them, you know,
We're gonna have
some
to.
of them, I'm sure some of them are fully aware. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe one of the 9 that I follow would want to be a guest on the. I'm just.
For real.
That was a joke,
Straight
though.
up.
I don't even have an Instagram, and my life is great without one.
I do though, and I may as well have said.
Might as well have an episode, right?
Yeah.
Wait, so where were you going, though? What was this juicy, risque thing that you can't say on the air?
Are we off air?
No, we're not. Don't say it. But what was it?
Can't say it. I can't tell you. I'll tell you after. I'll tell you after.
Damn it. All right, well, maybe this could be a good time to end then.
All right, let's end it. Let's end it.
Okay, so I don't know how to do a proper outro. And yeah, thanks for tuning in to the God's Plan podcast. Our guest today was Matt. Remember, he beat Stefan Davis in the ECCs. All right, folks, have a good one. Stay safe, stay inside, and yeah, avoid the COVID.